Hello Steelers, and welcome to the Hobby Update Bench Report, first one for 1st of January 2023, and Happy New Year to everybody. Hope you had a good Christmas and a happy New Year time as well over there. I certainly did, nice and relaxed, that's the main thing, but managed to get not a great deal of things painted, but that's just the way it is, isn't it, when it's family time and stuff and you're always a bit busy or just laid about relaxing and eating food and things. However, I did manage to get two things painted. They weren't really Wargaming, but the first one was a 1/35th scale T3476. It's an old Tamiya kit. It's one I bought a while ago actually, and I just thought I'm just going to make this. It took about 4 or 5 days to make, and I wanted to try out the chipping technique using hairspray, which is basically what you do is you just spray on hairspray over the top of the model once it's pretty much paste coated and painted and weathered and things, and then you can spray paint on over the top of that your winter camouflage, and then just chip it off with water using a brush, and it's quite a nice effect as well. It works really well. Travis over at Tabletop CP did a tutorial on it, but there's plenty of others across the ether that is the internet, so go and check those out. But I was quite pleased with how that turned out. The second one was the Rubicon 156 scale King Tiger that I bought when I was at the Games Expo earlier this year, and that's kind of just been sat in my to-do pile. I'm not really gaming at 156 scale. There wasn't much point in me turning it into a wargaming usage vehicle, but Tom and Joe over on Twitter, that's Tom Egan and Joe Bilton over on Twitter, had a festive tiger challenge. Speaking of tigers, here's Tiny, let's get her into shot. They had a festive tiger challenge where basically they just asked everybody to paint a tiger between, I think it was the 21st and the 31st of December, so it's quite a short window of opportunity. But I thought, right, I'm going to do my tiger, and because I'm not using it as a wargaming tiger, I wanted to do something a bit different. Because it's winter, I thought I'll do a winter camouflage, and I went for the 503rd Schwerabteilung, Panzerabteilung version of Anneliese, which is a very famous tank. It fought in Hungary in spring of 1945. So I went with that, and I wanted to do a winter camo again on it, but I didn't use any particular chipping techniques on this one. And also I decided, because the Rubicon had got so much detail on the interior, I wanted to show that off. So I've basically done as an exploded diagram that you get in some of the old, like the Osprey books and things, and I just thought that was just a nice way of displaying the thing itself, and I'm quite pleased with how that turned out as well. It's a really beautiful kit, very, very, very nice to make, loads of detail on it, and just really pleasurable build. Obviously if you're doing it for wargaming, you probably don't have to do it, well, you wouldn't have to put all that interior stuff in, but as I was doing it as a model kit, I wanted to, so that was the case there. However, before Christmas, I'll get onto my Christmas haul in a bit, because this is going to be a bit of a Christmas haul video as much. I'll show you the things that I've bought and had come through the post as well since just before Christmas, since I last did a hobby update. The first thing was these shell craters and trenches that I got. These are from Early War Miniatures, so I've not started these yet, but we've got 6 reinforced shell holes with accessories here. So these are individual shell craters with various bits and pieces of digging in them. They've got some bits. These are actually 20mm, but I'm going to be using them for 15mm because they work perfectly fine. There's no real difference with a shell crater and sandbags. So there you've got those. I've got another couple of sets of shell crater sets. You just have to paint these, and they're vac formed. You paint them and just cut them out and spread them across the table. First World War. There's 30 in total there, 15 on each sheet. I've already got loads of these, but you can never have too many shell craters in the First World War. And then I also got this as well, which is the vac formed trench. This is their what is it called? I've not got it here, but it's basically a strong point. So you've got a bit of a front line here with fire steps, and then a follow up here. And this is a bit more late war kind of stuff than the other trenches that I've got. So That came through just before Christmas. That was a really nice thing. Reasonably cheap as well. $6.50 for the shell crate, for the reinforced shell craters. $6.50 for the shell craters, 30 of those, and about, I think it was about £9 for the trench. I'm going to paint those up over the next few months, and I will do a video on how I've done that as well as I do those. So just keep an eye out for that. Also, the other thing I got as well is the mat from Geek Villain. This is a First World War one. I'd actually asked Mac if he could do me a First World War designed mat similar to the Shatter Battlefields of 1917 and the 3rd Ypres in particular, because I want to have a look at some of the Sidney Roundwood's ideas on how to game 3rd Ypres, because a lot of people think it's ungameable, but it really isn't if you just have to set your mind to it a little bit. So I got that. That's really good. That will be coming out at some point in the future for videos, I'm sure, as I explore more of the Through the Mud and the Blood stuff with that. And thanks massively to Mac over at Geek Villain. You can also buy it as well on their website as well. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's just Battlefield or something. But I'll put a link for it again in the description down below, so you can go and check that out. But that was kind of designed for me with my as part of my request. Also, I got as well. Dex and I finished off the 29 Let's Go campaign, which we were playing down at the club. I'll tell more about that in a second, but we were then talking about what we were going to do next, and I just went to Docs Direct and I got the Malaya 1942 one printed out. This is a PSC. This is by Len Tracy. This is in one of the Two Fat Lardies specials. I think it's a 2014 one or 2015 one. If you have a look at a couple of those, you'll see the Malaya one. I've played it before on the channel. There is a full PSC report of this game on the channel. Very hard for the Australians because they're generally just falling back against fresh Japanese all the time. But I got that printed out at Docs Direct. And I also got as well the Kursk one, or part one of the Kursk one, the Storming the Citadel Kursk. There's a second part of this which I haven't played. Again, I've played this, and this is on the channel. But we said I'd let Dex decide which one we were going to play next, and it is going to be Storming the Citadel. Again, a tough one really for both sides because there's not much cover in any of the scenarios. Looking forward to playing that one against a human opponent, and really enjoyed the previous one we did with 29 Let's Go. Also as well, you may have seen just recently I did a review of this, but just before Christmas, Two Fat Lardies released, or Ricewitz Press released the 41 to 43 Barbarossa to Citadel supplement for O Group. This again is my printed version of their PDF only version of the supplement. 60 odd pages. I've done a review of this. Go and check that out. It's one of the more recent videos. Just go back to the main page on the channel. You'll see where it is. Otherwise, just have a look in the reviews or in the O Group playlist, and you'll find my review of that. A very, very good supplement, one we've all been looking forward to for quite a while as well. And then also, on top of that as well, we called over to York, myself and my wife, and I picked up a copy of this 1815, which is a card game. I've had my eye on it for a while. I saw it in Travelling Man in York, and it was a good price. I just thought, well, let's invest in that. A bit of Christmas money, so I thought, treat to myself. It's a card game based on the Waterloo campaign, where you basically work your way towards fighting either as the French or the British, work your way towards fighting the three main areas at Waterloo, the La Haye Saints, Hougoumont and Papelotte Farms, and whoever captures those first kind of wins. A couple of people have asked if I would do a review on this, so I'm going to, once I just sat down and read it and worked it out. But it looks a bit like a nice deck builder with a couple of things from Star Realms, another deck building game, thrown in as well. So it looks quite interesting. A two-player game, but it also has, interestingly, a solo version of it as well. So I'll have a couple of games, at least solo, so I know how the thing works. And I will do a review of that, because a few people have asked, and I think it's something that a lot of people might be interested in. Alright, so over to the Christmas haul. I'm not going to show you everything I got for Christmas because a lot of it isn't wargaming related, but this is some of the history stuff that I certainly got. So, you know, this is stuff that's probably more interesting, gaming and history kind of stuff. First up, the American Army of the First World War was the one of the big books that I got. This is one of Cambridge University Press's series that they're doing on the various armies of the First World War. I've got the British one, the French one, now I've got the American one. There's quite a few others. I think they just keep producing these. I'm going to check out however many others they have of these, but these are great introductions to the First World War if you're looking at a particular army. I'm looking forward to actually getting into this one as well, because I don't know a great deal about the American Army, so I'd just like to know what I've got a basic idea of their role. It'll be interesting to see, you know, the background to the build up to their war and how they deal with it. I got Dune on DVD. Great film. We went to see this when it was first released. I went to see it in Vienna. Really enjoyed it, and then I didn't get a chance to see it again in the cinema, unfortunately. But so I'm looking forward to diving into that. I wanted to watch it with my wife, but she's already watched it recently, so I'll sit down and enjoy that at some point in the future. I think I'm looking forward to it. The other thing I got was a lot of Imperial Settlers expansions. So I've got here We Didn't Start the Fire pack. I've got the Barbarian Hordes here because I've got the original game and I do like it. We played it a couple of times. It's not particularly interactive with 2 players we found, but my wife who got me these, she did some research and saw that these were pretty much these are interactive sets. So I've got this one as well, Rise of the Empire, which I think is a campaign system as well. So I've got those 3. So looking forward to again diving into those at some point. That'll be something else to do. Then as well on top of that I got the new Ian Livingstone book, Dice Men. This is about the history, the origin story of Games Workshop. You know, as you probably know from this channel, I'm not particularly interested in modern Games Workshop, but like most wargamers, I cut my teeth at least with Games Workshop back in the past, and you know they do have a nostalgic part of my wargaming history is definitely based around Games Workshop. I still like some of their very old games, like Blockmania, for example, and Space Hulk and things like Blood Bowl and stuff like that. And it's just interesting. I'm always interested in how things began and how things started. And this is a really good book. I've just been reading just a chapter a night, taking it easy, and it's a nice read. I might do a review on this one if people are interested. But it does cover everything that basically the entire time that Ian Jackson and Steve Jackson, and Ian Livingstone were working for Games Workshop, from them setting it up, from getting D&D into the country in the first instance, and then working their way through up until they left after producing the Fighting Fantasy books and things like that as well. So it's quite interesting, from that point of view, knowing what I know about Games Workshop and just seeing what their origin is. A nice big hefty tome as well. I think it was crowdfunded, so there's a whole bunch of people, lists of people's names who put money into this in the first place. I didn't, but I did get it afterwards for Christmas. I'm very chuffed with that time indeed. And then also, the last thing Christmas hoard wise is I got this as well, Root. Sorry, very heavy. This is a board game which has been out for quite a while, and again I've had my eye on it for quite a long time. It's basically it's asymmetric warfare amongst forest folk. So different animals, so mice and rats and mice and cats and birds and things, and it's beautifully illustrated. I mean, it just absolutely looks lovely as well, if nothing else. But it is a game that gets continual praise and has done ever since it came out. There's loads of expansions, and on top of that I also got a box organiser for it as well, so I spent a good few hours organising my game box, and it means that I've got to buy some expansions because there's a few gaps in here that I've got to fill up with expansions now. But Root again, if there is demand for it, I will, once I've played it a couple of times, I will give a review on it, or at least show people how it works. It's a little more complex than your average game, I think, but I think that's probably all for the better. I think it's one of those things, you know, it looks complex when you first start it, but it certainly will soon fit in when we've had a few games of it, and because everybody's doing different things, it's going to be interesting to see how it works. There is again also, I think, solo versions of it. They're called clockwork versions, which you can get. So that was what I got for Christmas, a huge haul. I got a load of other stuff as well, like I said, but most of it is not of interest from a wargaming or a gaming point of view. So you'll just have to imagine what the other things were. It's mostly chocolate and a couple of books. Also, this week, well, since the last update, Dex and I played the last 29 Let's Go scenario over at the club. Just before Christmas, it was a second fight of the very last game, and it was Dex basically got an increase in his points. He was able to bring on even more Shermans, and it was just going to be a case of I was just going to get more and more armour pushing up against me with very little armour, anti-armour support. So this was the last one. I got to a point where I was just absolutely mauled, and I decided it was time to withdraw. We had a bit of a thought, because it was an attack on objective. It says in the actual rules, the core rules of Chain of Command, that the only way that the attacker can win is by capturing the objective itself. Now, Dex didn't capture it, however I withdrew, which meant that he was in control of the game. And we thought, for something like a scenario like that, the problem is I could just, in a campaign, I could just keep withdrawing, and then he would continually lose. So we just said, well, you know, because I've withdrawn, it seems a bit silly that just because he hasn't got the objective, he hasn't won. So we said that was it. The game, the campaign was over. He won. He won overall, and it was a very good, interesting campaign. Really makes you think a lot more. I don't know if you can hear the fireworks going off at the moment for New Year's, because I am recording this a little bit early. I'm cheating. I'm recording this the day before, but it is. This will be going out on New Year's Day, and. So yeah, but that was just a really good end to a good scenario. Even though I lost it, I thought it was excellent. A campaign, very good end to a good campaign. Thanks again to Dex for playing it with me. I thought it was really fun. Okay, the other thing that we played as well this week, we played mainly board games. Called over to our chum's house. We played a game of Dune, which was good fun. The Huracan, I pronounce him Huracan, won just by basically swarming into all the our mate Steve. He just basically swarmed in, and I think within 3 turns had won the game. Game over. But before that, we played The Thing, Outbreak at Outpost 31. Which was really good because ended up being infected from the start, so it was basically a game of bluffing and trying to tell the others that I wasn't infected. However, my wife didn't believe me whatsoever, and she thought I was infected. They ended up flamethrowing me, but it meant that they lost the game, the humans, because they needed 4 people for the last mission, and they couldn't do the last mission, which meant that they basically lost the game. So that's what happens when you flamethrower an alien, I suppose. And then, as I say, because I'm recording this the day before New Year's Day, we will be playing, we're having a bit of a party at ours tonight, and we're just going to play some board games. We're not sure what we're going to be playing yet, but I'm sure it'll be fun whatever we do. And with that, it is actually 1st of January. Well, this will be out on the 1st of January, so by this time, the January the 1st schedule will also be out. I'll put it up here anyway on the screen so you can see. I'm not going to be releasing anything for a couple of weeks, first of all in January, just to slow down things a little bit, just because my backlog has kind of fallen behind a little bit because I've not made anything for a while, but there is still plenty of videos coming, so don't worry about that. But and I will also put together a few reviews for things as well and throw those out as and when I make them. So that's your review. That's your schedule. So all that remains for today is thank you very much for watching. As always, if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. If you want to help out the channel, please do. There's Patreon you can help out with, and also channel membership, both of which you will get early videos, which will also be ad-free as well, as released on the schedule. and you'll get those about a week before everybody else sees them when they go public. But I'll leave it to that. Say Happy New Year. Hope you've all enjoyed it, had a good one, and let's hope for a great 2023.